Okay, we are back in the mega base. I have been messing around with the logistic train network in other saves, and I have come to the conclusion that it is a superior alternative because it allows me to use less rolling stock. It does mean that rather than having depots of empty trains for thing X and full trains of component X and separately a fuel train, LTN will have a depot of trains that have a consistent geometry, same number of engines, same number of wagons, and it will send those out to move things from A to B as needed. So the train flow is from the depot to go pick up something, to go drop it off somewhere, and then come back to the depot. So the depot is where we refuel the train, where we drain any extra cruft out of the train that it picked up and didn't drop. For instance, if it picks up more than the destination station wants of something, or somehow gets something in its inventory that it doesn't want. So the LTN Depot is a simple station with a known name and a combinator say, hey, you're a depot and you service trains that, match these filters. You can actually have multiple different kinds of trains in a depot. That's fine. You might want to set the depot filters to say, not allow trains longer than your parking area, for example. I'm going to segregate my trains a bit. I am thinking that for this configuration, what I want is a depot that moves the stuff out of these guys, and another depot that handles moving stuff out of these guys, and so on. So our LTN trains stay within a bounded area, rather than going from the depot all the way across the base to pick up something, and then all the way across the base somewhere else to drop it off, and then back to the depot, which can be a problem if the source and destination are close together, but the depot is far away. Because I do not think that LTN is dispatching multiple trains when it has a lot of stuff to move. So I'm a little worried about throughput. Anyway, we'll see how that works. I have TSM and LTN both in this save now. TSM trains are still working. We are still running technology. We do need to research the things I've added. I've added bulk rail loaders and logistic train network. And then we're going to go back to void once those are done. These will be really fast. So the depot area itself will take up one of these squares. It will have a whole bunch of depot parking. It will also need to acquire fuel. So surprisingly, the first thing I need to set up is a supplier station, which is going to provide me with my fuel source. I'm going to put my LTN depot out here on the right somewhere. I could put it here. So I'm going to put my completely fake fuel source here. Oops. I need to put this guy and boom. Oh, come on. There we go. I'm hoping that in the long run, the UPS difference between the two train mods will not be a distinguishing characteristic. I anticipate there is a difference. I hope it's not important. So for this, I'm going to leave instant trash on so that I don't have to worry about what's happening with all of the stuff here. But I will not use instant request or any of the other things. We will go fetch the stuff we need for our work. We could take these two off of there. Put on. See, I'm going to need green wires. I'm going to need red and green wires both for this, and I'm going to possibly need both kinds of combinators. Well, I need the arithmetics as part of the LTN station, and I may need the deciders. Train stops are going off the bar, and instead we are putting logistics train stops on the bar. And we're going to need some of those. Track, train stops, train signals, and so on. That's good. So what I want to do here is make this train station come through here. And this is going to be a very special train station. It is a normal LTN supplier station, which means an LTN station configured to supply stuff. But the difference is it's going to be supplying stuff from infinite chests. Boom, boom. There we go. And it's 1-4 stations. I do want to figure out where I can put my trains, so I need 1 train's worth in front and 1 train's worth in back, and then my station. So let's start with this here. I've got visualization set. Now if I put it dead center in the middle, that's my best chance of having it all work. That stop is gonna, that's gonna go there. So this one on the right hand side of a thing, and that's gonna go there. And 1 more for parking puts me here, I think. Yes, that's perfect. So when we come in here, this coming north, I need to do that. We do not want trains backing up. We shouldn't, because LTN should be smarter than that. But let's make absolutely sure. Now these guys, one of those is extra, and I made a mistake in my blueprint. It's the upper one. So when I snapped the blueprint for all of this, I goofed. There we go. So we now have parking before. So if we send a second train to pick up, it will park there. And when the train is out, it can go forward to here. And we will not let it proceed. Well, how much space do we have here? We have space for a full train here, so we can go onto that line. And this guy has, I believe, space for a full train. Yep, he does. So at the moment, this is just a bare LTN station. It's doing nothing. It's happy. It's just sitting there. Fine. I need to have some coverage here. What I want to do is cover this whole area generously with power. LTN prefers to use filtered something to send in. I could use filtered express mini loaders. I am going to do something more primitive. I'm going to be using the filter stack inserters. And I will be using regular filter inserters for other things. The reason why I'm doing this is because this is the way I have been tinkering. Let me think. Well, I don't have any filter stack inserters on me, and I do have express mini loaders. I don't have filtered express mini loaders either. So we could use some of those. And while we're adjusting, let's reduce some of the things we have a large quantity of. For what we're doing here, we do not need those. Let's work down from the top. Steel chests are going to be our cross-loading for our stations. We'll need those. Substations we'll be using a lot of. I'm not sure we're going to be using very much in terms of belts for what this is. So we still have the cheat set that automatically throws away our garbage. That's fine. We'll make more. We do need a lot of that, and a lot of that, and a lot of that, and a lot of that. We're going to be using a lot of those. I'd rather not reduce anything past 1 stack, so we can always put some stuff down. We're going to be using quite a bit of rail. We do not need train stops, but we do need logistic train stops, and I am going to automate those back up in the main base. We're not really going to need lamps. We will need signals and all of these things. And I am thinking that we will not need many of these. So let's go with 5 trains worth of this. The reason is that I believe we have enough trains already in the system that as we place things down, we can pick up the old trains. Okay, now what else do I want to get rid of? Well, I don't need to be carrying those creative mode items anymore. Or these guys. I will need duplicating chests for my infinite source areas. I'm not going to be using matter sources or matter voids anymore, because now we are in a mode where I'm going to start producing trains that do LTN. We'll use the matter voids later for testing, but that's it. And matter sources maybe for testing. I'd like to shift over to always dragging from specially labeled infinite stations and otherwise have things normal. So we're going back to inputting via stations. And I can get rid of some of these blueprints that I don't need. So with that said, I can't really lay down this station yet. So I'm going to go back to the main factory and have it service me, and I will set up... Oh, let's give this a name. I'm going to call it Infinite and the rocket fuel. So these infinite stations will be the ones that I'm going to be eliminating as I expand the factory. I've got to pause as I go back and establish automation for producing logistic train stops and fill up my inventory. And when I come back, I should be back down at infinite, at the infinite rocket fuel station, ready to continue. Okay, we're back in game. Now, since this is a rocket fuel station, rocket fuel only stacks to 10. So, for rocket fuel, these express mini loaders, and I did not pick up any express filter mini loaders, are total overkill. We only have stacks of 10, so even the filter inserters here are going to be amazingly fast. So let's set these up. We're going to configure these so they set the filters, so we will be turning them on and off, and I'm going to constrain their stack size to 10. Even so, they will go over. So if we had 6 of these, loading 12 at a time, that's 72 per swing. 3 or 4 swings and we're done. 10 at a swing, we might be able to stop in time to keep from overfilling. What I want to do is have this set up so that we don't overfill. And this is a pretty stock station for loading of these guys. With that in mind, I decided to clear my hotbars and start over again with what do we need on the hotbar when I'm working on stations. We're going to need rail and stations and signals. Okay. We are going to need stack filter inserters. I'm going to want to have my preferred power. When I'm laying down the long distance power, I'll be copy pasting that, but the substations I'll want there. I need boxes to move things in and out of. And because I am setting up infinite stations, I'm going to go ahead and put the infinite boxes on the hotbar because we're going to need to use those. So we've connected these up with red wire. I need to put my wires on here too. Red and green wire will be necessary. There. Green wire we're going to use to connect up our inventory. Like that. Now, we will eventually be filling these. I'm going to limit it to one row. Normally we wouldn't do that. We just have these, pack as much stuff as you can into the train station, tell LTN how much you have it send trains. That'd be great. What I want to see eventually is for LTN to be sending us multiple trains. So for a providing station, let's move through this carefully. We need to have a constant combinator, and we want a couple things here. At the near end, I'm going to say we are not going to use encoded network ID. I'll do train filters at the end of this. Provide threshold. We want to allow trains to be sent to us when we have how much? Well, each train can carry four rows of 10 stacks. So that is 4 times 10 times 10. That's 400 by 4 is 1600. So if we have at least 1600 available here, then we'll load it. The weird part of this is if I were just bringing stuff in from elsewhere and this wasn't balanced, I'd want to set a high enough number so that no matter how badly balanced it was, whatever my limits of balancing are, wagon would have enough cargo, enough stuff here to fill it up, and that's to consider. So this gets connected to the train stop input. So 1600 will balance him, and he needs to connect there. So the train stop input says, provide when we have more than 1600, here's how many we have. Okay, so we also want to do something else. I want to lock some slots. I'm going to lock 10 slots in the wagons. So let's lock 6 slots. This means that as we load, LTN will plan on not using the last 6 slots of the wagon, which means that if we have extra stuff on our inserters here, they will stop in time. Maybe they'll go over a little bit, and that'll end up in those last 6 slots. And that means on the other end, if we unload the train and we overfill the destination, we have space for the few extra that we got loaded. we need to set our filters. Now I'm going to say only send me trains where we have a locomotive in position 1 and cargo wagons in positions 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this is a bitmap, so this is 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8, and that is 30. Oops. 2, 4, 8, 16. Right, 2, 4, 8, 16. It's doubles each time. Add them together and you get 30. So LTN will only send us trains where the first position is a locomotive and the next 4 positions have cargo wagons. And I'm also going to say, don't send me trains longer than 5 because they won't fit in my parking. This may be, it may seem overly picky because I will have almost all of my trains being 1-4 trains, and the ones that aren't, we're going to have 3-8 trains. We're going to have maybe some 1-1 trains floating around. There are several ways we could do this. We can also do an encoded network number here. That again is a bitmap. I don't like to go negative on those, so we would have 31 distinct networks, and any station could select which networks it's involved in. But we're not going to do that yet. We'll do that if we get too complicated, but I will set these up right here. This also means that this is something I can copy paste if I want to. There's nothing in here specific to this guy, except maybe for the number of locked slots, which might be too high. I might be wasting too much space. So now, if I go in here and I say, you give me rocket fuel, oh, there's the other thing, is that these guys, if you yeah, you can't copy paste these duplicating chests and have it work right. You have to let them down, you have to put them down by hand like that. Having done that, I believe I could do this and put down some fuel and that works. So now we kill off those 4 and place them properly. Guy. Now I'm snapping down the recipe on them again because that will configure their stuff. Oh, that didn't work. Probably because I forgot to do that. And that worked. And now we can do the last ones. And make sure all of these are full. Yep. So if each one of these has 100, I should now be seeing, let's pull this off onto a convenient medium power pole. So we now see 2.4K. So we have over 1600. So at this point, LTN should now be seeing that it's got something. So we see under stations, we have a station called Infinite, and it's got rocket fuel, and there's our control signals. Now for the filters, this is where we need our arithmetic combinators. Now I'm going to cinch this up in here with the dollies once we're done, but let's put it out here where we can look at it. What we want the filters to be set to are the number of things that LTN wants in the train minus the number that it has in the train. These should all be set to set filters override stack size 10. That's correct. So the number of items in the train come from the logic from the train stop itself here. Not here, not here, here. And we want read train contents. We don't need to send to the train. I believe conventionally this is a green wire. I don't object to it, so I'll use it. And the thing that we are subtracting that from is what we want. That comes in on the logistic train stop output. So when a train arrives, the output has the geometry of the train, which is the same as this filter, so it'll be engine 1 and 30 on the, that whole thing. But it also has what it wants its inventory to look like in the end. So we do the subtraction. We say what it wants minus what we actually have in the car becomes a positive number that gets fed to the filter stack inserter, which will set its filters based on positive values that are not virtual signals. So if it gets a positive value that says, for instance, one of these guys, if it gets a positive value for the bitmap of where the trains are, it won't try to filter in that signal. So this works, or it should. So once we build our main depot, the first time when we configure its please bring me fuel for the trains in the depot, we'll find out if this works, because it will send a train up here, and then we'll fill it up, and it will stop when it reaches its threshold limit. I am going to set this. See, if I set this to 10, I can very easily see by how much we're going over, and we can change the locked slots per wagon later. I'm hoping that with our stack sizes set to a number that divides evenly into what we're storing, this will be efficient. For loading things like iron plates or electronic circuits, we just want to move as fast as possible. And for that bulk stuff, I really want to see if I can use the mini loaders, the filter mini loaders, which for some reason I didn't pick up while I was there. I had the request going. I'm pretty sure I have that automated. Huh. Okay. So there's our station. I am going to capture this with a nice little blueprint. And I will include the power stuff for now because, well, actually no, I will exclude the power because I can always hook that up by hand. I do include these at the end. I'm not going to go include the whole 9 yards. If I want to place it similarly, I just need to remember that the middle car is centered over the power coming up. And this is called Infinite LTN Loader. So, rail, LTN, and we're going to say we use the filter stack inserters into a cargo wagon. So that tells me basically what I need to know. In fact, I am going to set this a little differently. I'm going to say LTN station from duplicating chest. There we go. And we're going to put that right in our game blueprints down here. In fact, let's put on the end 1-4. We will need one of these for 1-8 trains in the not too distant future. Okay. Well, that's the first one. The next thing we want to do is start building our LTN Depot, and I'm going to put it down here. Now, this is just going to be station after station after station of stuff. So my intent is that we do not, or we're going to be doing some signaling internally. So my first thing is that I'm not going to really, I'm not going to include my control signals on the main rail. I'm beginning to think that we didn't even need power on the main rail. For some other builds I'm doing, I'm just going to do local solar, and that's actually looking pretty sweet. The downside of that is you've got to build a lot of local solar. Okay, so the reason I did this is I need to move some signals around and have them available in the stations, and this was the sweetest way to do it. I think, did I need one more up here? I'm not sure. I think this was right. Okay. So, rail turn. Not that rail turn. That rail turn. I need my depots to put back out on here. I also want them to fit in between the power areas here, because what we need here are our roboports. Because we are going to be delivering fuel using roboports. So we can fit 7 depots between these guys. I'm going to build 1 depot to start with. Now, this is as far up as we can go. We're going to try to keep this compressed. I could have these depots lead out directly onto this output area, but that would mean this whole horizontal area here would be tremendously congested. So instead, from the depots, I will push it through here and around and out. And I think, yeah, I'm going to do 21. So I can fit 42 depots in here. I believe I can do 2 sets. And over here on the left, I will have a station coming in here that will be requesting in the fuel. So pop these down here, and boom, and boom. So in here is going to be where our fuel is. Fuel station. In fact, let's just do that. Now this guy has to become one of those. And we'll pop that in there. And we can plan out our fuel station. I'm going to use I could use a 1-1 for this fuel, but if my main fuel station is going to be a 1-4, then having 1-1 trains pulling in and grabbing it is crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and have a larger capacity of fuel storage here and feed it with a 1-4 train very occasionally. So this is going to be a request train, and notice that our request is into boxes on the right because of where I put this. I don't believe we 2, 3. Well, we might be able to sneak it over to the left. I might be able to put it to the left of there. Yes, I actually can. Well, let's do that, because I really, for the sake of sanity, I like to keep everything on one side if possible. Now, I don't have to go all the way there. Let's set this up as a really slim station. Can we do that? Just like that. Okay. So because we're only going into one station here, oh, wait. What is really useful also to have here is not just a fuel station, but as trains come in on the deep on here, they're going to be unloading junk. And what we're going to want is a recycling station, a set of recycling stations. And that is where we get these guys. So the recycling stations are going to be on the right. And I really don't like that. I'm going to move it one more, so I can have their loading and unloading on the correct side. Okay, so there's our turns. I'll make 3 recycling stations. I don't really know how these are going to work. They are supply stations. They are not supplying infinite stuff. I thought didn't I just make a blueprint of the other train station? There it is. So we have, this is an unloader. No, this is a loader. So the difference between the loader and what we want to place here is that we want our loading to be of not from these infinite chests, but they will be from what do you call it? Storage chests. So we take up all of those. And we'll have to work out power. And this will use normal, everyday storage chests. Like that. So these are all within the logistics bot area. I'm going to go ahead and drop some logistics bots in here. This is going to get copied over, but not right away. Now, substations are not going to be able to cover all of this, so we're going to be going kind of midway. I want to cover from here. I need to cover the whole thing, so that's up through the halfway point of the middle train. There we go. And then we can just join these up. Yeah. Just like that. So that provides us with power for all these stations in the middle. Now in this case we have more than one thing loading. So this is where our normal filter inserters come in. Same configuration, but they move things slower, but they can filter up to 5 different things. So a little better. If we used white inserters, each one would only pick one thing to move, and if it was a one thing that wasn't in its box, it would just stall. So this makes it more likely we'll be able to move some stuff. And this is called recycle. I do want to put LTN. Actually, I'm going to put AAA at the front of these. And this is AAA Depot fuel. I'm getting tired of chasing down icons. I'll fix those up later. Recycle. And this guy is called AAA Depot. So you notice here on LTN Manager, it now knows about Depot, Depot Fuel, and Recycle, and Infinite. Let's call him AAA Infinite. Like that. So here's our LTN stations. I haven't hooked up any control signals here. Infinite is a provider. Recycle is a provider. I need to lower the threshold on the recycler so it can recycle things quicker. So it's going to recycle, make things available when it has, actually when it has one stack. We can do that. Here it is, provide stack threshold 1. So if you have one stack of anything, it will tell LTN, hey, I've got a stack of that you can take away. So back to our fuel here. My habit is increasingly becoming to assure that we have space after the station for a complete train before anything else happens. So we want to snug that in until we have just one train's worth of stuff available. And I'm going to grab that, and I'll go ahead and place those. I think I want to align the fuel station like that. Okay. So this guy can merge in there. And these guys merge in. Haha. Not quite there. How about there? How about not? So we need to come down past this, or we need to get rid of it. Let's get rid of it. If LTN sends more than one train to us, we're in trouble here. But we would have to put the station down here. And if we do that, we end up with... Oops. Ha ha. Okay, that goes on the next one, actually. Fair enough. So we're thinking, I'm thinking move this station down so it's centered. Which gives us this. Which puts us here. That's unfortunate. That means that we are not fitting our station in here properly. Well, if this is here, okay, now let's carve this out completely and put it over there. And we're going to center him on this midline. And that's centered. Now, if we center it, we still have the problem that we are too high here. So what's the tallest we can go? From here to there. So we have to move them up quite a bit. I think that's where it is. Yeah. We're going to be jockeying this back and forth a few times already, I can tell. Now, if we put it there, and we have room above, we have room in the station, and we have room after the station. That's perfect. Now this is not centered, but that's because we have different constraints at the top and the bottom. And we're allowing the input parking to have its last wagon a little bit cattywampus. There's that. And now we want to place these down again. this. I wanted to set my dividing line properly here at the midpoint of that wagon right there. Good enough. Now what that means is that we don't have coverage here. That gives us coverage. And that will cover the other two as well. Okay. Now if I'm doing this, I might as well do it all over. Keep them all aligned. So that goes all the way back to there. Let's horizontally align it with this guy. And we have room. We have room. And now we just need to have room on the other end. And that is enough. And we can fold it in just like that. So for guys coming down here, so I need to do that. So the fuel trains will wait here until they can exit, but the recycling trains can sit here, and through trains can sit here. Okay, good enough. So unloading the fuel train. Very similar to the infinite station. I am also going to do set filters, override stack size to 10. Okay, and these are going into storage chests. Oh, no, they're not. They're going into provider chests, because I do not want robots storing other things in these chests. And these are hooked together by greens, just like the other ones. Just like that. And I'm going to just extend this right over here. There's power, and those are hooked up. So this is going to be a requester station. So our stock quantity still gets set here. I'm gonna leave this off for the moment so we don't immediately request a train in while I'm working on it. We want to maintain a stock of rocket fuel, and I want to maintain, say, oh, I I don't know, each box might contain, say, one row, so 100 by 400 by 624. Let's maintain a stock of 2400 fuel here. Our thresholds. Provide threshold needs to be really, really high. We'll get into that in a moment. Request threshold is when we get less than, say, 800 fuel, I'm going to ask LTN to go get us more. Provide threshold, if we happen to have excess stuff here, I don't want LTN trying to send a train to us to pick it up because we have no way of doing that. So we're going to say, don't give anybody anything until we have at least 1 million of it. And we can't fit 1 million, so that's great. So, let's see. Train filters. I want an engine only in position 1. And I want cargo wagons in positions 2 through 5. We know that's 30 from before. And in any case, no matter what, I do not want more than 5 positions in the train. And this should be sufficient for the request station. So it's consist filters, provide threshold impossibly high, request threshold to the, I almost forgot, this needs to be the negative of the number you want. Okay. And that will connect to the input. I've got it turned off so I don't get a train yet. So that's connected. Okay, let's put this combinator down here and have the other, there we go. So our total stock is now connected up to the input, and we're now connected to here, so this is all set. We just need to turn it on. The LTN output needs to connect up to the filter inserters through the, not through, but along with the output of the arithmetic combinator. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the amount that the train wants, excuse me, the amount that the train wants. I've got this reversed. Okay, let's try this again. Filter inserters come from this summing junction, which is going to be one thing minus another. Sorry, it takes a moment to get this set up. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Okay, so what we want to do is if the train has more than it wants to have, we want to move it out. So what the train has is here. We have some weather. So we're going to connect from the train stop itself, which will have the contents from the train, will be on the positive side. And we're going to subtract what the train wants to have, which will be in the LTN train stop output, which is here. That's slightly confusing. And then we need to make sure that this guy is set to read train contents. I don't need to send it to the train, so I'm not going to. So most of the time when we get a train, it will have some contents, and LTN will be saying, I want it to be 0. I have not yet seen LTN send me a train where it says, I want you to leave stuff in the train. These are configured to override stack size and set filters. Let's make absolutely sure. These guys are set to read contents, and we are ready to go. So if I turned this on, LTN would now have a kind of a fit because it doesn't have any trains that it can send. So now we need to go back here and finish off this depot station. Okay, it's a depot station. That's all we do. We mark it stop as depot, and then we set the filters for the depot station. I'm going to allow up to 5. I'm not going to set anything else here because this depot station doesn't, well, actually it does care. I want to insist on a locomotive in position 1 and cargo wagons in 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we'll put the max back here. So maximum of 5. Okay. Put that there. So that's got plenty of parking coming in, and this will merge onto this guy going out, and he needs a, yeah, one of those. Perfect. In fact, I think in this case, I'm going to go ahead and advance that. That means that when trains pull out of the depot, they'll advance to here and wait before going onward. Perfectly fine. Now this is left-hand drive on the verticals. And there we go. And I am going to have trains hold here, waiting for a station like that. The other thing we need to do here is drain stuff from the station, from all of the wagons in the station. This is going to be a little awkward the way I've put the these guys. We'll have to work it out. The first guy, however, will just be normal. Normal these guys. Ba-doom, ba-da-doom, ba-da-doom. No filters or anything, just whatever's there we're going to unload, and we're going to unload it into active provider chests, which we are not carrying. Interesting. So we will have to request those. Can I build some? Yes. So this last station has no room for offloading this wagon, so I am going to kill that as a depot station. So we're going to end up with 18 stations in this area. That's fine. 36 if I can get a second set in. So if we grab this whole thing, and if I were to bring it down as far as it could go, that's not too bad. If we put it there, that would be a reasonable compromise. Yeah, let's do that. And I can get rid of that. This does mean that I need to provide logistics coverage. This will do. And we'll merge the logistics over on the left. Second thing is providing power to these guys. Now with all of these in here, that's going to be tricky. Okay, it will be tricky, and I will work it out as I add stations. Now, I anticipate that the quantities here are going to be small, so having fewer unloaders might not be a problem at all. Oh, what are we missing here? We are missing some railroad track. And where else? Up here. So, that means that all of this is one block. Probably acceptable. Yeah. I'm willing to go with that. So this gives us 2 depot stations, and these can link horizontally across from one to the next. This is now configured for depot on, so we should now see a depot that has 2 stations that are green. And then these are normal stations that are not depot stations, I believe. I don't think depot stations show up here. We have no trains yet. But I think we're ready to go. We have a supply of rocket fuel. We have a requester of rocket fuel that should be showing up here. It says provided / requested. This is a minus, and it is provide threshold. Provide threshold. Depot fuel is turned off. That's right. So we need to set up a train before we do wonky things with depot fuel. I'm going to go to the fuel depot to set up my train so I can give it some fuel to start with. And the only thing we need to do here is set this up to say, go to AAA Depot. Now I'm going to turn off the dispatcher because I want to be on this train when he's dispatched. And now we turn this guy on. Dispatcher's not running yet, so LTN hasn't considered the reality of the situation. And now I can look here. I have a train parked at the depot. There's this consist. I have one depot that has one green and one blue. I have depot fuel that is requesting 2.4K. Red is request, green is provide. Infinite fuel, recycle, and here they are. And these guys are doing locked slots, and this is not. So now if I enable it, oh, there we go. No train to transport items found in depot. So it wanted more than one train to do this. So we load it up. This train has 1.6K rocket fuel in it. That's wrong. It should have stopped short. So I have done something wrong in my filtering. And I've done something wrong here in my filtering because these guys should be set filters. I'm going to get off at the other end and look at what's going on with the filter there, because this should have shut down my creative delivery. 810 rocket fuel. So at this end, my filter inserters should be subtracting out the quantity that's on the train. And what I see is that I forgot to configure the math. Times -1. There. So now this is correct, and this is taking my amount on the train from here and multiplying it by -1 and using it as part of the filter. Notice these filters are swung out. They stopped suddenly because the train was filled. We want to run through there again. Disabling the thing. I'm going to empty out the rocket fuel, and I have auto trash turned on, I believe. Yes, I do. Instant trash. There. No, robots, there's nothing for you to grab. So now LTN wants to send 2 trains. Well, he's only going to get to send 1. So there's the stations. And history, alerts, inventory, provided and requested in transit. Stations are showing this. And my train starts getting stuff. And we stopped with precisely 6 boxes available. So moving by 10s, it all worked out. Now, LTN is saying it didn't find enough trains. So once we get there, I'm going to do this again, but with 2 trains. I snapped that at the wrong time, so I want the schedule just to be the depot schedule. In fact, let's pull it around to there. Then send you into the depot. The other thing I need the depot to do is to actually fuel the trains. So we need to, well, let's do this with some panache. Stack filter inserter and a requester, and I'm going to use a combinator to control what kind of fuel I'm moving and how much of it. So I want each train to have available 30 rocket fuel, like that. And you make this work by going boom, boom, boom. This guy is set stack size, no, it's set filters, and move by tens. Not important really, but might as well just move by tens because that's 3 swings. And then this is set requests. So that can chain from each stop to the next. We can do the same thing up here. So now whenever a train pulls into one of these depots, we'll empty its cargo wagons and we will refuel the trains. And we have enough space for quite a lot of those. So now a test run with 2 trains available. I'm going to empty out all the rocket fuel suddenly. No station supplying rocket fuel found. It could very well be that LTN will only create a schedule for 1 train at a time, so that it will not schedule another guy coming in here until it knows it can clear it out. So maybe stepping in front of a train, bad thing. I'm gonna have to wait. So that's where I am, right there in the middle of the fuel train. Okay. Hello, train wreck. So I need to get back down there. Let's take the PAX train down. Don't need to do this slow. Waiting at PAX Southwest. Bring him up to the mall. I keep forgetting just how large this base is, how distant it is from my large base that I'm building to this base that I'm using to build it. Head back to PAX Southwest, and I will get off when I'm near my exit. Oops, this is the old area. Yeah, that was bad. There's my corpse. So we're going to loot that first, and I'm going to loot the rest of it. So where was I? Oh, that's right. I was going to trigger the refueling behavior. So, yeah, that's right. Okay, so no station supplying. So apparently there's a maximum number of trains it will send to each station. I think it's, I know you can configure it. Apparently the default is 1. You didn't create the second delivery until the first train was basically done loading. Well, that's good. That means that for default stations, if I'm not doing anything special, I don't have to have parking before the station. However, in this case, I do want to allow more than one train. So I think if I increase here, limit trains to 2, that's going to be key for throughput. Allowing multiple trains in flight to service a given source or destination. So if we do this again, okay, so creating a delivery for rocket fuel, it should have created 2 of them. And it did not. There it goes. So the second one didn't go until he was ready. It's interesting. Oh, I wonder if there's not enough fuel at the other end for that to make sense. Let's increase the quantities all around. I want to maintain a stock of 48. So 1,200 per. If I stay in my Spidertron, I will not be subject to the whims of trains. So it's only sending to pick up 1,200 at a time. And it's not scheduling until somebody's there. That could very well be that this one just produced 1,600. Yeah, let's set those to 3 lanes each. Where did my fuel go? There. Now we can set the fuel back to 30/30. So now 300 each one of these. So 300 by, let's see, 900, 3, 6, 9, 18, yeah, okay, many. We could actually check it here. Stations. This says we now have 7,200 units of fuel here. And this guy, we can have twice as much fuel as we have now. And this says that depot fuel uh, 48. Let's fill this up to 96,000. that. See, it's doing it again. Oh, it set 2 trains this time. And again. So now it's willing to have 2 trains outstanding, and it would want more trains than that. So that's our queue to build more stations. So grab that. I'm going to drop these off. I don't know if we're supposed to include that in the blueprint or not. I wasn't killing them before, but... yeah, I really don't know. Drop the roboports. So we'll find out. The question will be if this works. And, oh, this is one... Yeah, I have to move this down by 1. Okay. So with that guy, remove these things and those. Okay, that gives us 6 depot stations up here. And we see that we need power and many, many more purples. So covering this guy would be somewhere in here. If it came out to here, we could cover, and that leaves the 2 in the middle. I'm going to move these around. So if I want to cover the whole thing with 2 stations, I could, yeah, place it in here and in here, and I can just, yeah, okay. So we're going to do this. And the other one is down here. Does that make sense? Okay, good enough. So there's our power coverage. It means that some of the wagons have a few less, but that's all right. So now we need a lot more purples. Like that. And the other part is we do need to connect from here to here and from here to here. So now we should see depots. So they all have the right name. AAA Depot says we have 5 open and 1 filled. I am going to sever this link and send this train around. So this needs to move down so that it will not run into that power. This is fine. So we need to copy this. We'll rerun the power later. So same vertical. There, and power maybe in a different place down here. Nope. Substantially the same place. Haha, I forgot to hook these up as I was going. Silly of me. Okay, I'll just do it manually. I believe my Spidertron has more rail. Okay, so lots of depots now. So I'm going to go get stuff to fill that in as well. Be back. Okay, I'm back. When I got back, I walked through the area that needed to be built, so of course it got built automatically. So we now have our 12 depot stations all set up. let's check that. We have 2 trains parked in the depot, and some of the depots don't have the correct name. So let's fix that. So there we go. We have 12 depot stations. We have 2 trains. Let's drop down a couple more trains. In fact, let's bring ourselves up to 12 trains. Now, I'm thinking that it's probably a really good idea to always have enough depot stations available so that your trains have a place to park. Because even in a really busy base, it is quite possible that at some instant all of your trains may no longer be actually needed. So we may not have enough. We need 5 more locomotives and 20 more wagons. Well, let's see here. What have I got being requested in? That's what I've got requested. So next time I go to the base and come back, it will lay down 5 more trains. That's cool. So now, in theory, I should be able to set up some stations supplying various goods and some stations requesting those goods using these train stations. And these trains will be sent out and used. So let's start with, so we've got rowboat frames, we have rocket control units, and low density structures. So first thing is, do I want to interrupt everything? I think I am going to go ahead and do that. So let's start off by replacing the robot frame station. And I'm going to actually start that by moving the station itself and having this just be the normal station. So 2, 3, so about here. I've done this before when I was shifting TSM. The difference this time is that now it's just one of these. I didn't bring any regular train stops with me. So really what we want to do is just, well, let's just upgrade this in place. So yeah, the LTN station will still be here. I'm not sure whether I can just drop the new station on top or not. Apparently I can. It's the same name. TSM is now going to be confused. Our logic is different now. These need to be express filter mini loaders if I'm going to do it this way. So let's not do it this way. How am I going to do this? What I don't want to do is end up with a huge amount of, well, okay, so I'm going to be deleting a huge amount of these. Whatever. So I have the same loading constraint. Well, no, flying robot frames are normal. You know what? I'm going to see if I can get some stack filter inserters down here. And we'll see if we can make that work. Be back with stack filter inserters. Excuse me. Stack mini loaders. Stack express mini loaders. Oh, I can make them. Hold on. Let's just make them. Express filter mini loader. Oh no. Why is this tossing them all in the trash? Okay. I do not know what is going on here. I'm going to toggle this for a moment to beef up the request just to see if there's a difference. Okay. So I don't know why the Express Filter mini loaders were getting trashed. Let's set this back to 0, 50. And I did have it. Oh, I wonder if I was probably building Express mini loaders from other stuff. Okay. Okay. So that makes sense. If this works, I will go sacrifice some mini loaders. So we need, first of all, unhook the red here. It's no longer needed. And hook up the green. And I'm just going to hook that straight across. Okay, and for provider stations, filter inserter is connected to the LTN output and the combinator. So we do need our combinator here, and we need our constant combinator over here. And there. So this says that my condition for inserting will be that the number that I want from here is higher than the number on the train. So set filters. And I have tried to do this before, and if you turn that off, the next time you come back it's turned back on again. And I think if you turn it up, the next time you come back it's back to 0. So there we are. Apparently these do one at a time really, really fast. So this will be heading in here, and the number on the train comes into there, and this has to be programmed, which I forgot on one of the other ones, as we saw. There. So now if we look at stations, we have this guy, and I'm going to change his name, so he is now AAA robot frames. And I believe I have to have a unique name for each one, so we'll put a 01 after the end of it. TSM is going to be increasingly unhappy as I do this. So this guy is sitting in the ready queue down below us. Notice that these are only loading one line. So these trains have 2,000 in them. So turn him off. We want to load 2,000 at a time, so our provide threshold is 2,000. Well, it's 2,000 spread across all of those, and they might not be balanced. So let's say 4,000. So you have over 4,000 of these we're going to provide. And currently we have 2.4K in each box. We are going to do 10 locked slots per wagon. Our filter is going to be locomotive 1 and cargo wagon 30. It's too bad I can't put that in hexadecimal, huh? And that's it. So robot frames shows up here. We're ready. We've got 19K available and no control signals. Let's turn on this. There we go. There's our control signals. So we're going to need trains. However, the next thing to do is to set up the requesters for robot frames. Ooh, that light's blinking. As I walk around, I always fix any blinking lights. So, where do we use flying robot frames? Here. Flying robot frames for yellow science. We only have 2 trains, so this may be our only place we use them. Yeah, here we are. So this station's going to get replaced. Okay, so logistic train stop. It's inherited the same name. There's only one train that had this because TSN messes with the train stop names, but that's okay. We're going to need a requester. We're going to need a arithmetic combinator like that. So inventory in. Okay. Now for request stations, the input of the combinator comes from the train stop itself. So we're going to say how much LTN wants us to leave on the train minus how many is actually in the train. That's the actually in the train part. And we need to have these be express filter inserters. And we're going to hook those up like that to there, and to let's make sure of this. So the filter inserters are quantity on the train minus quantity wanted by the train minus quantity on the train. So there we go. That's correct. And this is our control area. Oh, we can rotate those. How about that? Okay. So off. So our request is going to be let's request 2,000. Yeah, 2,000. So that would be one row is. Let's request 2 rows. So 2 rows would be 1,000 each, so 4,000. Bada boom, and there we are, minus 4,000. We don't need to use the X thing here. We do need to specify the train consist. Oops, and I forgot in the other place, I also want to say, don't send me any trains that have length longer than 5. They won't fit in my parking. And the other thing here is when you are requesting, you want a provide threshold set to be extremely high. So if you do get a quantity coming in that's negative somehow, it doesn't immediately request it. It doesn't immediately try to. If you have excess, it doesn't try to provide it. Got it. And this needs to be programmed. There we go. So now, when we turn this on, creating delivery. 1336 flying robot frames are being delivered because we have less than we want. And we can watch that happen. So there's the train. And this is not filling it because I have made an error. So what have I done here? This station is sitting in there, and it says it wants 3.1K or 1.3K, and I don't know what's on this red wire, so let's find out. A little helpful power pole here, and this says 1.3K, which means what I forgot to do was set these up to set filters. A simple enough error. And this is climbing, and he wants 1.3K, and this is not doing it. What is going on here? So that put way too many of them in. I was seeing that go negative. So I'm going to have to try that again shortly. this up a bit. We don't actually send trains up here very often. And in fact, this train is just going to be stuck here because there is not room for him to unload all of that. Let's turn off the dispatcher and do this again. I'm going to go manually empty that station. Make some space. Here we are. Okay, so we eventually did get it done. It would be nice if I had a power pole here to read this off of. Okay, so currently we have 1.2K in stock. These are unlimited. These are set to enable disable. They should be set to set filters. What's going on here? Set filters, come on. Okay. So he's definitely wanting a station, wanting a input. He's requesting 4,000, or will request 4,000 when we enable the dispatcher. So the question is, why did we overload this station up here? This set filters comes undone. I bet you dragging across them like that didn't actually set them properly. This should work now. Dispatcher back on. So they're sending a train for 4,000 of them. Okay, so I'm going to watch this. So there's our filters going down. And there we go. It loaded in what it wanted and sent it off. That was perfect. So robot frames are converted, and we can now get rid of the TSM areas for robot frames. If I change the schedule on this guy, he would go back to the depot and would drop these into the depot, and they would hang out there in a area. Well, let's do that. Add station, a depot, and send it there. He probably won't be able to get there because I've got ghosts in all the stations that aren't full. But I could definitely unghost somebody. So LTN train malt gurner entered depot. Ah, that was the train that just went in, and it said it entered depot with stuff. So if we look at alerts, requester remaining cargo, 8K flying robot frames were sitting in it. Oh, this is different. This is somebody unable to do stuff. And that's bad. So what we're going to do is take him and send him there. Send him there. Why did he stop? Oh, good Lord. Yeah, that's bad. Yeah, I need to fix this. There we go. So I think that alert was that my unload station wasn't right. So he's unloaded, and now these guys are being picked up slowly. That's fine. And he could be sent back to the depot. Now if I've done this right, this guy over here should eventually be willing to provide those. Enter depot with leftover cargo. Fine. So it's possible that I didn't have capacity for all the stuff that I sent. Let's check that. So this said that, yeah, okay, there's our request coming in for 4,000 flying robot frames. And this is not unloading because what's going on here? I may have this hooked up wrong. So let's figure this out. The train, I bet you the train wasn't reporting. So what we want is not on train here. Read train contents. So this says I have a bunch of them, and we want to subtract out. Okay, that's offloading from the train, and we need to subtract out the mountain wanted here. And it's created another delivery because we didn't have enough of them. That's fine. Now, as long as I've got this coming up here, I could just make that standard. There's no real convenient place to tuck it. But if I did standardize it there, this would go down to here, replacing him, and this would go down to here, replacing him. That's actually not any more clear. The only benefit that that gives me is it is something where I can actually look at it. Okay, so that's flying robot frames. I believe that's perfect. That's left over for a previous. That was left over from a previous conversion from normal to TSM, and we don't need to use those for this. We're still producing slowly. Let's make sure things are still good. Okay, so notice that yellow science dropped off and came back while that was unhooked. Creating delivery for 1001. So now we need to delete these guys. And I am not going to need. There. So now that we've got this set up, I am not actually sure how many trains we're going to need, but I anticipate it will be less than we had. So that dozen trains we've got there may already be more than we need for this entire loop. So I'm going to cut this here, and then between now and the next episode I will go ahead and convert over the rocket control units and low density structures similarly.